Hello, welcome. I'm going to be doing a reading, but I'm actually just going to share some personal updates as if this is my vlog for a little bit because I've been going through a very profound activation of convergence with simultaneous selves, and it's affecting my current self. There's been so much happening so quickly. We're reaching such a major thing here with the Lionsgate portal, and so I've been really aware of the collective energy and then my personal passages right now, and where they're Venn diagramming and what my role is. What my role is in the collective as a healer, as an artist, as a speaker, of all the things that a person could do. What am I meant to do? How am I meant to take care of myself? What's happening to me, for me? Where am I going? Processing all of that. And this is where we're at today. So I'm going to get into that a little bit. And I'm going to start by going back to the 26th of July because I was channeling a lot during that day. And I wanted to post the information that came through, but I haven't been able to settle for long enough to get it together. So going back to the 26th, I was outside and I was grounding, and I think that that's when the Lionsgate portal opened. Obviously it peaks as we align with our spiritual sun, and then it tapers down, but we've been in these energies, and there was like it's a big one. I know that everybody on the internet who talks about things like this is talking about this year. There's a reason why, and there's been evidence of the shifts and the quantum leap in my life every single day, like massive amounts of incontestable evidence. And another thing that I've been reminded of from a much higher dimensional, perspective and way of embodying life on Earth is that the things that you see, the things that you say, the things that you do, all of that is in your imprint of life and outside of space and time for the purpose of source creator energy expressing itself, having all of these billions of people throughout all of these different iterations of, history, and then considering different civilizations on different planets and all of that. What's the purpose of it? It follows these structures of spirals and growth and fractal, because there's both form and there's formlessness in all of creation. And we're both exploring it all simultaneously and exploring it not at all at the same time, because both exist in tandem. And when we feel into the truth of that and understand that that's what people refer to as 0 point. There's nothingness, but there's also enough space in the universe. There's enough planets, there's enough types of entities, there's enough plants, there's enough, whatever. There's enough minerals and elements coming together to express every possible combination of idea and life that could ever be. It's so unfathomable because it's everything. And so just like given that, I've been reminded that an individual's role is to honor whatever comes up in their tiny little minuscule vein, right? This nothingness that I inhabit is an expression of the all. This is the only situation that I have access to. But that's not true because of, the Akash and multiple strands of different timelines. And this Lionsgate is really a big convergence point for a lot of past lives. It's a time when a lot of people, especially people who have, I don't want to say especially, there's no especially here. It's people who have been doing this work or remembering these things for a very long time. This is going to be a big diving board, leaping off point, springboard. People who haven't been doing it for very long, again, this is going to be another one of those, there's real, when a lot of the spiritual journey can take place in a way that's is it 444? Is it real? Is it not? You're in that phase for a while, I think, and there's going to be a exponential amount of confirmations and synchronicities and a lot more tangible evidence entering a reality than you've ever experienced before that's going to blow your mind. And then people who have never really gotten into it are going to start to, and have these pulls and these inclinations that are coming from deep, deep, deep within, because it's this point that we're at with realities coming together so that we're unable to deny how we move forward in this one without the influence of the other ones, which, you know, has always been true to some extent, and something that I'm going to get into here in a minute has been making me feel and understand that in order to fully accept your mission in life, whatever it is, and I speak of that as far as like the much larger picture of humanity's mission, part of claiming that and understanding it is realizing that you've been doing it all along, even if you weren't conscious of it as the human that you are. And that's sort of confounding. Speaking for myself, I have evidence of the fact that I've been doing my mission all along because I'm a record keeper. I was just listening to a very cool podcast by Emilio Ortiz, and his guest, I don't know her name. I need to stop doing this. I'll drop in a thumbnail of it though. I guess I'll be editing this video. Or you know what I'll do? I don't want to edit this video, so I'm sorry. I'll put the link to it in the description box of this video so that you can go watch it if you want. It's a very interesting listen, but they were talking about roles in the awakening and like record keeper, grid keeper, all these different things, and how people can identify with different ones. And they have to do with past life or simultaneous self sequencing. Because we remember when we start to do things that we're actually incredibly equipped to do them because we've always been doing them. And the things that we've been doing on earth in this lifetime is actually a very minuscule amount of what we've done. You know, our spectral ability chart. Like I'm seeing like this thing that goes all the way around, and there's these concentric circles, but there's also these wedges. And it's interesting to see how minuscule a portion of the whole wheel of your skill sets and your abilities have or has been accessed up until this point. And all right, so beginning of the Lionsgate portal, I was outside, I was grounding, I was at my day job, and so I wasn't in like the beautiful forest. I was sitting behind some dumpsters, but I had removed my shoes to connect with the earth, and I was just allowing for whatever came to me to come to me. And I have this relationship with the trees where if there's no wind at all and I gaze upon like the treetops, I can with my mind like wave to them and have them start moving in different ways. And it's also this patch on my chest is just a reaction from putting some essential oil there. There's nothing wrong. I don't know why I said that, but I was communing with the trees and the wind, and I was starting to ask some questions to receive some guidance about where I was at and continuing to manage the changes that are happening for me. And it was immediate. A white butterfly flew up to me and it landed on, I was wearing a similar, sweater to this or something. It landed right here. I had a white butterfly on me. It was so beautiful. And there's symbols of, white, whatever it is, if it's a bridal gown or a candle, it's purity and it's innocence and it's this cleanliness and this truth. And butterflies are metamorphosis and transformation and alchemy for me. Butterflies are such a core key symbol to my identity, but immediately when it landed on me, behind this dumpster, it's not even like, again, like the thick of the forest. I felt like it was just so divine for where I was. This black feather flips through the wind like a quill, and it spikes down. It lands straight up, sticking out of the grass. And those instances were like 2 seconds apart. And so I was very like taken. One of the functions of synchronicities in my life is that they redirect my attention to be locked back into the vibration of truth, which is oftentimes non-physically witnessed within our being based on what's happening around us, because it's the energetic level. It's not sequence A, like linear time type thing. I just got locked into this moment, and then I started receiving some psychic downloads. And I think it was the last, I haven't been doing the long form readings as much, so I don't know when I posted this, but I was talking about pulling like Japanese language through, or just speaking to myself, like I do all the time. But sometimes if I'm singing like to the dog or something, I end up realizing that it's Arabic and I'm actually like praising him, or it's a different language. And I've never channeled Japanese before, but I did a couple weeks ago. And what I started hearing, this was last week at this point. So I don't know what the Japanese phrase was, but I wrote it down because I was taking notes, the translation of it. I had gone inside and translated it. The phrase that I got first when I was sitting there after the butterfly and the feather thing happened was comfort pressure, physical pressure. And the way that I was saying it was like I was chanting, going back and forth between both of those. And it wasn't a short thing. And I wish I remembered it, but I don't. I don't speak Japanese. This was a one-off, or maybe a two, or what? Who knows what's happening? Maybe it'll happen more and more. Comfort pressure, physical pressure. Oh, my spirit guides are asking me to say this in case this helps somebody else, because I said, I don't know what's happening. Who knows what's happening? It's an opening of being able to just access more ways, and it was 11:11 when I looked up. There are certain things like people, and they talk about this too in the podcast that I'll put in the description box, how in some languages you want to be able to say something. For people who are bilingual, you want to be able to say something, but there's not the right way to say it in the other language. Or my Brazilian friends are always speaking Portuguese around me, and they'll be like, how do you say, like, what's the, asking each other how to say certain things, because there's no quite proper way to put it. And so I was asking, after this, the second instance of Japanese coming through, I was like, why? Like, have I picked up a Japanese subscriber? Is there a different simultaneous self within my own Akashic integration that I haven't gotten visions of, that I'm going to start to be understanding more on? And it's because there are certain frequencies, like words and language, that things need to be expressed in to trigger other people's awakenings. If I'm going to share the information that comes through, it is for me first and foremost as the channel, but it's also to be shared. And so to say a phrase in one language, to say it in another language, it has a different resonance, and that's the purpose of it. So we don't, need to know why, but that is what I was given. So this phrase, comfort pressure, physical pressure, immediately for me, it made me think of like comfort pressure, like tires, like inflatability, and having tires. Like sometimes I'm actually chronically always going up to my tires and like pushing them. Like I don't really get cars or maintenance, and I don't love it. It's not my favorite thing. I just spent an exorbitant amount of money on my car, because it was like a 1-day thing turned into a 2-day to a 3-day repair. And, it's just not my thing. It's not my thing. And they look deflated to me much of the time, but they're not. They're just, that's how a properly inflated tire should sit. So I don't really know what the analogy is, for the collective, but where I went with this, bringing this through, comfort pressure, physical pressure. With the intensity of the solar flares and where we're at and what we're being asked to anchor, if this stuff resonates with you and you do have any, sensitivities to the changing energy, you know that it's getting crazy. It's getting so crazy. I just got out of the shower and I've been needing to do a lot of Epsom salt scrubs. I anointed myself head to toe in like rose oil, lavender, clary sage, bergamot, cinnamon, ylang ylang. I'm a complete scent bomb right now. I feel very clean, very like shedding and moving through different ways of treating the physical body is going to help you energetically and consciously welcome what is happening right now. It's very strange because it's bright out, but it's starting to thunder. I'm getting a little scattered. I'm going to try to ground so I can keep going here because I haven't even shared what I want to share. And this comfort pressure, physical pressure thing with the whole tire analogy for me is about getting to a sweet spot, but knowing that just like tires, that it needs maintenance, and there's something around the energy and the intensity of it where there's just pressure. So instead of trying to be perfectly alleviated of any physical quote unquote ascension symptoms right now just go from being comfortable in the pressure that they induce, because they do. I've had crazy physical sensations going on for weeks during this recalibration. Different things. And like I mentioned in a recent video, maybe it's not like this thing that I'm stricken with for days on end. Maybe it's just an hour, and maybe I'm moving something through my body for a certain amount of time or whatever it is, but I'll get like serious pressure in the third eye or across the neck or areas in my spine or in, the front of the body with the internal organs and like the sacral and the root and the heart, just the whole system. Sometimes the pressure or the shifts can be almost like auric in nature. Like it feels like there's a pressure, like a shape. For somebody who has the clairs that I do, clair senses, I feel like there's always a way, and this is a good way to attach your attention to your sensations to be able to change them. There's always a way to be able to give something a shape and a color and a direction, and getting into describing it is what helps us breathe into it, and without knowing exactly how or why, believe at least that you understanding it in order to decide, just very simply, do I like this or do I not? Can I breathe it away? Can I like adjust my relationship to how this is sitting in my body? Can I acknowledge that through whatever chain of events that have led me here, there's something about my unconscious consent, but higher self consent, that's experiencing this for a reason, even if the reason is to become conscious of that practice in that moment, to be able to release and change it. That was a little convoluted, so forgive me. But it's a certain amount of pressure that's going to be different for different people to adjust to. And I've had a few things happening recently that if I didn't know what I know, and if I wasn't so, confident and protected in spaces of prayer and communing with what I believe to be true, might even scare me a little bit. So I'm also saying this because it's important to know that with anything that you're experiencing, you can choose to anchor it in the transmutational process of love instead of fear for any type of lack of understanding, right? And I guess I'm just trying to say this for people who have a habit of going to the places of like, something's wrong with me, because that's kind of a human thing. A lot of us do that. But all right, so again, moving through this Lionsgate portal, another vision that I got after the feather and the butterfly thing when I was outside on the 26th was this vision of chess pieces, and they're very, very strong. It's like they've changed from whatever material they were carved out of originally, bone or acrylic or whatever. They've leveled up. They're incredibly heavy and they're golden, and they have some quantum weightlessness to them where they're easy to move because you can move them instantaneously with your mind, but they've been upgraded, and they're your thoughts. They're your, if you want to talk about your will to will things into being, to will timelines into opening, or to will things into collapsing. They are the expression of your will going out and conquering. They're like your minions, but they're your thoughts, they're your energy. And so there's this transition that's happening where before, if they were, they carry much more weight. They carry much more weight, and they're capable of a lot more. They're heavier, they take up more space, but they're easier for you to maneuver. So there's something like otherworldly. It's like, it's this process that our ability to lock in and understand the laws of the universe and manifestation is just seriously upgrading. So I'm offering that vision out there too, around these solid golden chess pieces that you can visualize in different places out in front of you, and see where you're putting this weight and adjust that, and see them as always functioning for you, always serving you, always functioning for you. And then the caveat with that, or there was a message that I got with that, is that standing very firmly in that can super agitate unawakened people. And another thing I really liked about the podcast that I'll be linking in the description box of this video is that they remind each other and they remind their audience and the viewers of the podcast that there's no hierarchy in unity consciousness. It's about knowing that we're all in the same pool of energy. We're all, despite the physical bodies that separate us, this is the same energy that's flowing through us, and we've all chosen different aspects of that experience coming, down from a monad into all of the form that has chosen to be expressed. So that's a pretty good segue into 2 days after that meditation. It was the 28th of July. I think it was a Saturday, maybe last Saturday or Sunday, and it was early morning, and I've been blessed with a sequence of mornings that feel like I'm in my astral council, I want to say. It's this early morning place of transparency where I can really, really easily receive tons and tons of guidance. Like maybe it feels like I'm lying there for 10 minutes, but the amount of information and the amount of change that it delivers to me is like I've been in a course for weeks or something. It's that quantum seed of download, really powerful adjustments to how I'm seeing and thinking on a day-to-day basis, but they come through in these early morning sessions between 3 and 6 a.m. Sometimes I just kind of wake up and I'm very much in my bed and I'm very much sleeping, but I'm in conversation, I'm receiving visions, I'm being counseled by my spirit guides and other aspects of my soul. And so on the morning of the 28th, I was in this chamber of counsel, and it was visually apparent to me that I was in a chamber. It was this rounded room. I was sitting in the back, and there was this rounded room, and there was one primary figure completely across from me, and the whole thing was incredibly dimly lit. I could basically not see anybody. There was just a little bit of light coming up from where the baseboards would go in the perimeter of a room, and there was light coming up, but that's all. And other than that, I just knew the presence of forms around the room. And I knew that I was with masculine energy for the most part. It was different sides. So on the right side, there were these beings talking, and they were other incarnations that my soul has chosen for certain lessons. And on the other side, there were female voices, but they were not speaking as much. I was getting this information because of the massive integration that the collective is going through right now with the balancing and the harmonizing of masculine and feminine energies and holding and healing those polarities within us. There's a massive upgrade happening with that. I should probably talk about that too. But anyway, I was hearing from the masculine side and revisiting certain things. But between these two sides, there was a keystone, is what my guides have started to call her. And she showed herself to me. She came to me out of the darkness, and it was all I could see. It was my Lyran self. So it's one of my oldest, I don't know what to say because time and space isn't real, but you could think of it as a physical incarnation, but it would have been millions and millions, years ago, as a lion, as a white lion, the most beautiful lion. And I've never seen a lion in the wild. I've only seen lions at zoos. The lions at zoos just incite this deep sadness within me because they're captive. Even though they're majestic. And I like to look at lions at zoos just to be able to see them. But I met my Lyran oversoul, and she was beautiful. And she gave me basically just upon contact, even though, this is happening in a different part of my consciousness, in a dream, you could say, in the astral, whatever. It was this encounter where she was transmitting all of this wisdom and energy that I need for the next leg of my journey. And it was so beautiful because I was like, there's just no ceiling to, how much we can see and how much can happen. And I've done a lot of recalling stuff. And I think about things that used to happen to me like 10 years ago that I didn't think were important or I didn't think were anything, but it always was, right? Because these dimensional bands of existence, they're like different levels of a video game, but it is all happening at once, and it always has been. And whether or not we're conscious of our existences on the other layers of it, they're still going on, and they always have been. And so a large part of where we're at right now in August and what's going to be changing is being able to let that be true and change the way that certain things in the past feel. And I like, again, the analogy that she used in the video that I'm going to be linking down below, like paper dolls coming back to a monadic self, this collapsing in. I very much aligned with that part of their discussion because of this experience. And so she was conveying certain things to me. I left a voice memo to myself about it when I woke up. And what the most important takeaway for me was just how incredibly like super warrior energy, bipedal lion, clothed, but not like human clothes, and not like armor either. There's a lot of AI imagery of different starseed races, and I identify with some of that and some not, you know. But just, again, like a painting waiting to happen at some point. It actually gave way in the days to follow to a different kind of painting that's a self-portrait that has like a complete depiction of my oversoul surrounding me, different beings, different incarnations. And I'm going to be spending, after I finish this video and do some reading and meditate a little bit, I'm going to be spending my entire day painting. I completely changed my home again and moved all my furniture. I dragged my sectional, it's like 90 inches, downstairs and up other stairs, and I put it in there. And now I have a walk-in closet den room instead of an art studio. And my living room, this is more, right, whatever. It's like I just constantly move and do things intuitively to be able to continue feeling like I'm doing what I need to do. And I need to turn my living room into a little maker's workshop and crank some stuff out. So that's how I've been spending my time. And I'm very, very excited to paint today. But I'm not going to be painting the oversoul picture yet. I have other things to do. Right now, I have to finish some commissions for somebody, some portraits. But I'm also working on this Angelic Seraphim series. I have another one over there. There's going to be 7 of those, and all of those visions came to me like pretty sequentially. So I've sketched all of them. Like in here. Here's another one that I haven't painted, but I scribble them out first just so I know. And then like next to it, there's all the notes about like which colors go where. Sometimes that changes. This one, pretty. So back to the lion. I don't know her name. I asked for her name when I woke up and I didn't receive it, but what my guide said is she is the keystone. If you have an oversoul and an arch and energy that's expressed itself in all these different ways to inform where you're at now, there's a structure to it. At least this is what I'm being shown. There's a structure to it. And my Lyran guide, I guess that works. She's one of the most foundational, important keystone parts of that for me. And has informed other ones too, right? So the biggest message was about her maternal qualities and how many mothers she's been, how many mothers I've been, and the essence of maternal nature. And a little bit back to this trine with femininity around maiden and mother and crone and wisdom and what feminine energy is doing on the planet right now. And there was something incredibly like a flush, like a detoxification about this information that has changed every single day, and I don't see it reversing anytime soon. Like since this vision, it's like something was fleshed out around being able to fully possess that and understand that. And it's not the understanding of like, I get it, I have it all figured out in my little brain. It's not like that, because it defies conscious understanding in many cases when we just do these big integrations. And without fully understanding it, allow it to be felt and expressed to us as we continue moving forward. And then before I get into the cards, I sat down to do, and I'm going to keep the cards pretty short just because I've talked for 30 minutes already, but I sat down just to ask for some guidance or like a way to start off this message if I were to have a theme to share today. And I was told being the answer is like the phrase, being the answer. And when I kind of like dug into it a little bit, the messages around people scrambling right now, because a lot of us are living in states of not having our, not having everything be okay. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of things shifting. We're not meeting our own needs. We can't meet the needs of others. You know, I'm putting this into words, but I'm not affirming this. This is just in the observable reality. And when we have a problem, we have to address the problem. But the strength right now through what seems like, you know, just a sea of chaos and confusion. And it's not like the water's here, the sky is here. It's like we're all, it's all mixed in. It's like one of those weird ass, I'm seeing like one of those vintage jellos where there was like things that should never be put into jello in the jello, like grapes and celery coexisting in jello. I find that so just repulsive, but I guess people liked it, whatever. That's kind of the sea of energy that we're at. And it's like a sensation of feeling like it's never going to end, or how do we see our way out of it? And that is what we're collapsing. When people decide that in the moment they can collapse it just a little bit, that ripples out like wildfire. And then we exit the sequencing of these, I just like watch my words. I don't know, this infiltration and this onslaught of attacks that are sort of filtering in to combat the natural rising of vibration that people are experiencing. And it can go one of two ways. And when we don't choose, I'm going to take care of myself like this, I'm going to sit and discover through my own, you know, choices about what's happening with me. Like we're not taught and told that we can use our minds to change the way that things happen. And there's so much power in acknowledging that problems exist and not just like, it's hard to talk about because it gets into gaslighty stuff and spiritual bypassing. It's not saying this problem doesn't exist. It's saying I fully acknowledge this problem, and I've felt in my body all throughout my being how this is affecting me and what this means. And because of that, I will create the answer. There's always an answer. It's like the a call and response of living in a dualistic nature. It's very, very apparent what the answers are, because it's very, very apparent what the problems are. And there's still a lot of layers of illusion for the majority of people that need to be cleared out for the collective in order to really let this like be the era that we're in, which is going to happen. Everything's going to happen in divine timing. But when you conceive of a solution, you basically have fixed the problem. You then just have to know that you can relax, and because of your ability to conceive of it, you've done it, and then you do small things each and every day to work towards it, but you also leave plenty of space open to know that the co-collaborative elements of energy moving and shifting behind the scenes, because you, the conscious person, decided to change. It's like a Rube Goldberg machine, and it already started happening. And so if you're waiting in a vibration that's not accepting those changes to ripple back to you because you've misaligned from the receiving point of that solution, which is attained vibrationally, emotionally, energetically, like how do you feel? You will always know what you're attracting based on how you're feeling. And so back to that Jello vision, it's like a lot of people are in this like swarm thing, and it doesn't feel good to tap into it. It doesn't feel good. And so there's this deep, dire need to completely unplug. If it means unplugging from like technology or social groups, or just try to do something during this Lionsgate portal that helps you get into a new way of doing things so that you can believe that your life, is shifting. I feel like people who watch this video are going to be like well on their way to some of these things that I'm talking about, but then other people maybe not. So I'm saying it like, even if you don't have the evidence of things shifting so incredibly, you can make choices, even doing little things different, habits of where you choose to go at a certain point, or how you do certain daily routines to bring in new energy. Just like me moving my furniture around, I've completely transformed my living environment and the way that I move inside of it. And that's part of this chapter for me right now, because I'm gonna produce a bunch of stuff that wasn't in existence before, and I'm gonna do it in this place that I created to do it. It's the Empress at the bottom of the card. Whether or not you're male or female, everybody has Empress energy within them, and it's very much creative energy. So just to finish that message before I do the reading, being the answer means acknowledging the problems and not saying it's hopeless, we don't want to focus on the problems, but really like looking and seeing and allowing for things to be problematic, because there's so many disillusioned people who are, it's so painful that people are just living in like total webs of delusion. We can't acknowledge the problems. So if that's the phase that we're at, then let's fully, deeply, be honest and open. And it's like a lot of people, here's the caveat too, even if we're sitting in a space of considering sometimes things are just unbeknownst to us. They're just in our unintegrated, unconscious, shadowy webs. And even if we're like, I think I'm being fully honest, I think I'm acknowledging all the problems, we don't get to it because that's not what we're meant to acknowledge at that time. So also release fear of that, because there's nothing wrong with anything, with where, what you're going through. Like, there's a Mother Goose rhyme is popping into my head. For every malady, wait. I posted this on my Instagram in like 2016, and that's the picture that's popping into my head. For every issue, there is a remedy, there is none. If there be one, seek it till you find it. If there is none, then never mind it. And it's just a peace of mind thing. It's just about peace of mind. And dialing back into flow and allowing for things to be as they are in the moment so that you can continue to bring energy through. The cause of all of our issues is stopping that flow. And creating these knots of things that seed other issues, even if those knots start off as completely microscopic. I'm gonna do current energy to embrace, and energy to release from this deck, and then I'm going to clarify with the Ethereal Visions Luna version. Here's our current energy, spiritual strength. I mean, I certainly feel that. This is the Nine of Wands card from traditional tarot, but here it's with the oversoul. This is understanding that there's so much more to what is going on than we can process on a day-to-day level. And that it's just so beautiful right now and exciting to see things changing and to see it becoming, there's discovery, but there's also, it's like I'm seeing some type of dynamite cord that has a spark going in two directions. It's like everything is combusting all at once, and we realize that, again, I'm like going back to as well, exfoliating skin, right? Like burning off all of this stuff dry cells and coming down into this core essence. Except instead of burning it all to the ground type energy, it's liberating what has always been there. Like there's been this separation from the essence of the spiritual strength that resides inside of us. I like that very much. Energy to embrace. Yeah. This is like what people talk about with the golden Atlantis timelines of correcting the codes that have been functioning on the earth as the different chakras of earth and the stargates have been closed. And this makes 919, by the way. So much light and ease and effortlessness. Like in the visions that I see for the future, there's so much mind-blowing beauty, mind-blowing, amazing, a completely different, like if we think we've exponentially grown in the last 5 years, just you wait, like the things that are coming. I know people see that and feel that in their own way. I'm getting a ton. I'm sorry that this reading and the whole talking, I'm just scatterbrained because there's a lot of stuff that I want to, that take me in different directions. So I just have to, I guess, keep going and stay on message. I completely lost another open loop that I was going to talk about with these two. Oh, I remember a little bit. It was something about how I've been doing a lot of reflecting on how my life has changed since the year 2012, and then another check-in in 2016, and then another pop-off in 2018, and then another one in 2021, and it's just a carousel, and you can get on at any time, and it's interesting for me to consider that not everybody is wanting to get on, even now. I have been having a hard time accepting that, just as somebody who has, for the purpose of my own journey and growth, been pretty isolated in my spiritual evolution for most of my life. And I think it's just so incredibly amazing and astounding. This woman on this podcast that I'm linking in the description box, she has 8 children, and the youngest of them has full recollection of his multidimensional, incarnational understanding of himself and who he is and what he has access to. And a lot of children being born easily can tell you information about life on other planets and what they used to do. And she says, he reminds me a lot of the time that he's older than me. And like, I don't know how old he is, but he's probably like 5 or 6. He's a young boy. And we think about these different waves of volunteer hybrid beings being born on Earth. And I identify as one of them. And I think a lot of people out there do as well. And you did not come in just fully spouting, this knowing. We have spent time anchoring the energy so that it's a safe world. This is going to make me cry. So that it's a safe world for them to be born and be able to do that. Because I remember for my whole life trying to tell people certain things and just being shut down. And it doesn't mean I wasn't loved or that I wasn't supported, and that I wasn't given everything I need, to be a successful, happy girl on Earth. And but it still wasn't validating what nobody understood. And so I've been going through some interesting clearing around that and how my life is changing right now in relation to what stuff isn't changing. And we can always look around, even people who choose their own paths and don't want to evolve in certain ways, they're still changing. Nothing stays still. Even if we think we're not changing, we are. But it's funny to me because there's this other thing going on with my own timelines where I see all of these different circuits of like awakening and development that I've been going through as very short, very quick. It's like all that just happened so we could get here. And I think that other people are going to feel that too. There's like this opening happening where it's like, I feel like I dreamed this a million times that we would as an earth, as a collective, be in this situation, be here with all this weird stuff going on. Like, it's like this massive deja vu that's facilitating this strange activation within a lot of people. What's the energy to release? Sacrifice. This is the Hanged Man card. This is the Hanged Man in this deck. But it says sacrifice, okay? And like, there's nothing that you cannot have or do now. Like, what if all of the rules changed? It's not that they actually have, it's that there's so much momentum building for people to more easily see the evidence of the things that they've teetered on the edge of believing for a while. And of course, you can't get to the evidence of belief without having the belief first. It's a chicken and an egg type thing. But it's all kind of, right, when we don't choose to go forward with, and I've done this a billion times, like gone forward with something and have had this, however tiny amount of self-doubt crop up that takes me out of whatever I was going to pursue in authenticity from this heart-led guided space. And I circle back and I go on a little karmic journey and I go learn my lesson doing something else. I do always come back to the place that I was meant to be. And it's not a wasted time. It's not like I was avoiding anything. I had some type of integration to do in order to remind myself that I do want to be in that place and I do want to go through that doorway. And there's something about all of these loops, like we're just spiraling, both this timeline, this life, these integrations from everything that you've been through on this earth. And there's a lot of stuff that we've been through on this earth, by the way, that we're not even conscious of because of the multidimensional warfare and crap that's been going on and shaping the way that the world has evolved over time throughout our lifetimes, right? And it's also the multiverse, simultaneous self stuff coming into this thing for these golden activations. Again, the golden chess pieces, golden timelines. It's so, so, so beautiful. And you don't have to sacrifice things in order to move in a space of, okay, accepting it. To be able to welcome everything in. To be able to welcome everything in. There's like something around, I relate to this, and you can pick up on it if you watch my videos, because sometimes I have a jadedness about, like being American. Like, it's almost like how German people felt after the Holocaust, like almost like ashamed of their people or something, okay? Or like just not liking the way things are, or like it's this stubborn, rebellious teenage spirit of feeling like things haven't gone the right way for me or for Earth. And I think a lot of starseeds have that, and I think a lot of people right now, myself included, you're able to more freely collapse it and just let it go and see it all as incredibly guided and meant to be, and you're not in the jello anymore. You can see it and you can very much feel, the energy that people would, the reasons why it all makes sense, why that is the way that it is. But when we're exiting being confined by linear time, it feels very light and fluffy and easy to just have these large revelations and realizations that might have taken, weeks to acclimate to a couple years ago, that now are just like, I get it, and I feel free, and I feel lighter, and I can process, and I can move forward, and I can bring in all this stuff. And it's not via sacrificing. It's almost like you're releasing. You've already done that. You've already made the sacrifice, and you're allowed to remember how beautiful it's going to be. And there's a part of you that always knew that it was going to be that beautiful. However beautiful you can imagine it to be is the truth. All right, I'm gonna clarify each, we're gonna get energy in the blind spot, energy for the new moon on Sunday, and the incoming energy. Okay. Energy for the blind spot, please. That's too many. That's too many. We're not going to do that. Seven of Pentacles. Okay, so blind spot. What I just said about all that, still true, but then what do you do, right? There's another thing that happens to me every now and then where I've been having these like massive spiritual insights or things that I don't necessarily talk to anybody about. I just catalog them and I draw and I write things in my journal and I stay in my special protected place, you know, of keeping my vibration where I want it to be. I've learned over time that if I tell people about everything that's going on with me, they immediately will, even without, you know, even with the best of intentions, they'll attach some type of energy to it, and it no longer feels like the white butterfly of purity that I can just protect and grow and honor within myself. So that's changing though, obviously, because I've been sharing on the internet for a year now. But there's something around remembering that we like to do work as humans. There is still hard work. It's not this self-sacrificing, burnt out treadmill, you know, no progress way of attaining things, but it's applying your energy as a human in a grounded way. Grounded. We're grounding into the fact that there are huge things, huge timelines, potentials, things opening up that you can see far into the future. You know, you can see more and more as we shift, as things happen on Earth. You can feel more into what we're committing to even further out. And it's like, just relax into it. Relax into the slow, stable stacking of each and every day, each and every moment. You know, there's still only, you can still only carry, I just have a vision of myself with a bunch of groceries in my arms, but I don't have any bags. It's just funny because I have so many reusable grocery bags, but I never remember to bring them to this silly store. So I just buy new ones and then I have more reusable grocery bags that I never bring. And it's a weird cycle. So I've stopped grocery shopping altogether. I'm kidding. But, yeah, it's like we forget that we don't have to gather up everything. There's always going to be something delivered to us from our higher selves or from the universe, whatever's right in front of you. Even if this is like the game again, the game of life, even if it's not what you'd like to be doing, it's in front of you for a reason. It deserves your whole attention and it deserves all of you. And when you forget or allow yourself to believe that you're never in the wrong place at the wrong time, you know, even if we wish that we were doing something else, you're always directly in conversation with, even if you're bickering with somebody at the gas station. I have no idea. I don't know why I said that. It was a weird example. I personally don't get into fights at the gas station, so I'm not saying that because I've been doing that. But like, even if it's unfavorable, okay, it's still exactly what you need to be doing. And when we accept that, we handle those situations, anything, we handle it all differently because there's nowhere to get to. There's nothing that we forgot. There's nothing that we're going to forget. We're just watching ourselves go through our little lives and making choices. And it's okay. Blind spot. And I'm also hearing people say, what if, in the background of that. So, email me if you have questions. I can't address all of those. Clarify, yeah, the moon and the wheel of fortune. You're not aware of everything. You can't use your logical mind to sort out all of your problems. And sometimes we solve our problems even better by allowing them, again, like it's not gaslighty or bypassy to just release it entirely. But that's how it goes away. You become the answer. You become somebody who exists without that you know, self-limiting thing. Everything is coming back around too. A lot of efforts that you've put in without anybody seeing, like the unseen with the moon, intuitively led stuff that you've been guided to do is coming back around to be acknowledged. It's like we don't do this just because we like to work. We do it because it's the way of our existence. You know, we do have these cycles. There's a 24-hour one, there's a weekly, there's a monthly, there's years, there's a cyclical plan within our own expression of ourselves, from the micro to the macro, that is both conscious and unconscious. And this point in human history, in our lives, this summer, this August, is this huge opening, this huge, see the gears of a clock all lining up to allow for things that just have run their course to exit. And there's certain things that I want to say about all that, but I'm being guided not to share so much within like the, you know, I don't know. I want to be the answer now. I want to stop talking about how much I've observed and what's happening, because I don't want to talk about it. But I could, but I kind of want to, but I'm not going to. All right. Wait a minute. What's the incoming? Oh no, I said I was going to do a card for the new moon on Sunday. The new moon in Leo. Fiery new beginning. Page of Swords. Yeah. I heard break the ice. Breaking the ice, this could be with something that you've been wanting to do that you just have been putting off, breaking through, shattering any veils or illusions of procrastination, feeling, giving yourself, even like using that chess piece analogy to envision one of the golden chess pieces, that you can use to epitomize and like represent like this solid reservoir of energy that's being drip fed to you, because there's so many different forces at play and ways that we end up treating ourselves and walking ourselves, you know, like marionettes from the higher self to the physical avatar. We do things that drain us against our better judgment. Like it's hard, right, to be clean and feel energized in this polluted world and all of this stuff. And so imagining that there's no shortage of pure golden energy to like fuel you, genuinely like to move your muscles, to make you feel buoyant. Like I feel like everybody knows what it's like to wake up on some days and be like, I feel good. Like I feel like I could move, like I'm gonna get a bunch of stuff done. And then, you know, more often than not, these days, a lot of people are like, I never feel that way. I always wake up tired. I always have a headache. I always feel depleted. I never want to do any of this. You know, that's unfortunately, right? It's becoming more and more, I'm having just like I don't know, some type of, I'm going to have to do a lot of twisting after this. I've been doing a lot of transmutation for any amount of people that I encounter. There's so much energy that people are wanting to release and they don't know how to do it. And when I get around them, I end up doing it for them. You know, that's just the way of it. So there's something being released right now for whoever is watching, but there's no shortage of that energy that we feel as being outside of us. Like imagine it being drip fed. Whenever you need more of it, bring it through. Imagine it entering yourself through your crown chakra. Use your breath and your visualization of it moving through your systems, like percolating in every single little nook and cranny, every little moment in every little cell and it's like, it's not like it's like this like lava, right? It can be just tiny electrical activation of these little moments that give you in totality, like in the whole of you, your life force. I'm also hearing regeneration, rejuvenation, immediate regeneration, like all of these, that's a whole other thing. So this is the card for the new moon. It's breaking out of this sludgy jello mixture of chaos, and you might have to, like I mentioned before, do a little bit of a phone detox, not care about all the crap that's going on as much, or give yourself, you know, we might think, oh, I don't need to do that. Like I don't spend that much time on my phone. But actually when you do it, your brain starts thinking differently. You notice completely different things. You're not on the same frequency. And so you feel different, you do different, you say different, you act different, and all of that. And that also takes place when we detox from the same types of patterns and the same types of people. You could love the people in your life, and that's good, obviously, right? but you could still need space completely alone. And it's not really like like solitude isn't, I don't think, a meaning for this card, the Page of Swords, but the new moon is a very sacred precursor to this Lion's Gate, which is like, again, like a huge, like, commit to the timeline that you want to be on energy is what I'm feeling. And then what's the incoming? Actually, I'm going to cut the deck to get a second card for the new moon on Sunday here. Solar plexus. So I was saying, like, this golden energy that you can just bring through with conscious visualization and breath through your body. Allow it to fuel you. And I'm even now with this, it's like it could live here. It could live in your solar plexus, and it could go both ways. You know, it could live in the root and you could have it go all the way up, or it could precipitate down. Energy moves multidimensionally to give us our, and now I'm seeing Merkaba crystals spinning very quickly, to give us this activated multidimensional navigability. Beautiful. And also the element of fire, being it Leo season and being this a new moon in Leo, is coming through around what I talked about before in the beginning with this, around like burning away, exfoliating away all of this stuff, imagining the element of fire being your ally in conquering things right now, and using the momentum, like thinking about something going up in flames. It starts to happen very, very quickly. It's consumed, and then, you know, the way that the material that is burned sort of returns to nothingness, right? That's an alchemical process. That's a massive transition. And so attaching to that kind of motion through matter as you blaze your new trail on, wait. It's tomorrow. The new moon's tomorrow. I keep saying on Sunday like it isn't tomorrow. On the 4th of August, you're blazing a new trail using your inner sun, your inner fire. It's so beautiful. Now I'll get the incoming energy. Thank you for watching my video if you chose to. Thanks. Hi. Good. Incoming energy is Six of Pentacles, and I've been thinking about this card a lot recently as far as continuing to ignite a loop of giving and a loop of expression that allows us to never stagnate in waiting energy for anything to come to you. Not that you're not expecting things, not that things don't come to you, but because you're always progressing within what it is you're doing. You're not sitting around waiting for things to change. You're activating changes within your life. Even if you're sitting around just because you want to chill and you're resting, you're not waiting for the world around you to catalyze the things that you're making happen, if that makes sense. You're doing the little things on a daily basis to stack up the pentacles, right? These cards are sort of neighbors. 6 and 7 of Pentacles. So again, I do see a much clearer, much more joyful, much more spiritually informed chapter of building our reality, because both of those are Pentacles cards. I mean, look at this. Look how beautiful that is. And then both of these guys being Major Arcana. I'm not going to take any more cards. I'm going to go because the video hit an hour and I feel like I've conveyed enough, and I hope that everybody's doing very, very well. And I'll probably post some time lapses of the paintings that I'm doing if you're interested. And last time I posted the painting time lapse, somebody said you should get more likes and views, and I commented back and I said, thank you. If you think that, then send it to somebody, because then it will, and that's the truth. I really try not to care at all, because I'm just staying in my lane doing what I'm guided to do, and eventually my work will be seen by the people who are meant to see it. But if you would like to contribute to that hastening, then share them, please. Share the videos or the painting time lapses, and I would appreciate it very much. So enjoy the full moon and the Lionsgate portal. I don't think I'm gonna record another video before that, because I know that every day, like, I just have to be very deeply present to my process right now. But I'm always here. And you can still email me if you would like to chat or if you have questions or anything. Okay.